Thank you for joining us. My name is Jennifer Ismakopoulos, and I'm the Head of Adult Services at Wheaton Public Library. Today, we are delighted to provide this Lunch and Learn program as part of Money Smart Week. Vinny Koutsavidis is the Sales Director for Morningstar Investment Research Center and will be presenting this overview and live walkthrough of the Morningstar database. Thanks for being here with us today, Vinny.
Thank you for having me, and thank you everyone for joining in on the training. I do want to premise that I am on the sales side and I'm not an investment expert. So I'm not here to provide any type of investment advice. I'm here to show you the database that's available through the Wheaton Public Library and the different tools and information that's available for you to access. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to turn my camera off because I find it distracting when I'm doing a training. But thank you again for joining. So if you wanted to access the database from home with your Wheaton Public Library card, you could go to the Wheaton Library website and click on Discover, and then click on All Databases. And then select Business and Investing in the left-hand side. And click Apply. So it could bring up the business and investing resources, and then scroll down until you see Morningstar, and then you can click on View Resources to access the resource, and it'll ask you for your last name and your library card number, so you could access it through the Wheaton Public Library. So you do have access from home or in library for the resource. So the investment database is a great resource and tool for anyone to use, whether you're new to investing or a seasoned investor. We have a wealth of information on individual stocks, funds, and ETFs, as well as about like retirement planning and just learning about investing. I like to start everyone off on the help section. So if we click on help, we do have monthly training sessions similar to the overview that you're receiving today. We do offer a monthly training that any patron or staff member can access. We have our database guide available here, the user guide in PDF format. We also have a couple other helpful PDFs. When you're using Morningstar and looking up a stock or a fund, you'll notice that we have proprietary data points, like a Morningstar star rating for stocks and funds. So we can access this how to read a stock analyst report or how to read a fund analyst report, just to learn more about some of the data points that you might find within the research reports for stocks and funds, and what those data points can mean and how you can use them when you are researching a security. We also have some tutorial videos available that will walk you through the different sections of the database. A glossary of investment terms. So if there's an investment term you're not familiar with, you can always come to the glossary to look it up. And then we also have links to methodology documents available here as well. Like I mentioned, we have a lot of proprietary data points, such as like the analyst ratings, star ratings, etc. So you can definitely access the methodology documents to see how those ratings are derived and how they can help you when narrowing down your investment choices. So there's a couple different ways to navigate the database. One is if you know the security that you'd like to look up, a stock, fund, or ETF, you can come to the search box in the right and type in the name or ticker symbol of the security. So if we wanted to look up Apple, we could type in Apple and select Apple, the correct Apple from the dropdown, the one that we'd like to review. And it'll take us directly to the research page for that security. So then you could dive into your research for, the particular security you wanted to research. Another way to access is if we go back to the home screen, we do have some quick links available under equity, funds, ETF, and planning and education. So for instance, if you wanted to go directly to a list of mutual funds that have analyst coverage, we can click on mutual funds under funds, and it'll take us to the list of Morningstar fund analyst reports. And then you could click on one of these to go to the research page for the particular fund. Or on the home screen as well, If you want, let's say, to access like the portfolio x-ray tool to input your portfolio, you can click on that from this homepage. Or you can just go ahead and click on the individual tabs along the top to jump to a particular section to learn more about equity funds, etc. So if we do click on equity, again, there's a wealth of data and research that's available for equities as it loads. And once you're on here, it's like an overview page for equity research. So the overview page is going to pull in some of the latest analyst reports for companies. It's going to show you the market fair value chart to see if the market is overvalued, undervalued, or fair valued. Additional market commentary, stock gainers and stock losers for the day. And then just some other companies, investing ideas for companies that are kind of, hot in the market right now. If we click on the markets tab under equity, this will give you a quick glance of how the market's performing with our market barometer and sector delta. So if you wanted to see how the various areas of the market are performing, you can get a glance by looking at the market barometer. We also have market index performance available here for US, Asia, Europe, and Canada. And again, just pulling in some more of Morningstar's market commentary so you can really see how the market's performing. And it is a live database. I didn't mention that at the beginning. It's a live database, so you're able to get real-time pricing and quotes within the database. And it's a great resource just to get your daily news market commentary as well, as our analysts and researchers are constantly putting out content throughout the day. Under research, under equity, this is where you're able to see, again, highlighting our equity research. So it's pulling in latest analyst reports, morning notes to see kind of what's happening in the market with certain companies. In the far right, we have a weekly research highlights PDF that we publish. So this provides an overview of like weekly stock ideas and developments in the companies that we cover. We also have a quarterly market outlook report available here. So this is published at the end of a quarter, and it's for a market outlook on the upcoming quarter. So our analysts and researchers take a look at the overall market outlook, top picks by sector, the economic outlook, and then they dive into the individual sectors. And then if you just wanted to access the sector reports individually without going through Market Outlook, we do have links available to each of the individual sector reports here. So these are published quarterly as well. Portfolio, latest analyst reports, sorry, I needed to click on that. So this is where you can get a list of the companies that have in-depth analyst coverage. If we were to click on the name of a company, we'll go to the research report for that company. But if you wanted to download a PDF, you can click on the PDF icon in the far right to download that. So let's say if we wanted to, let's say, take a look at Coca-Cola. We can click on Coca-Cola and we'll go to the in-depth research report for this company. So you can navigate by scrolling through to go to the different sections, or by clicking on this hamburger menu in the top left and jumping to a particular section of the report. We also have the company report available here. If you wanted to have something as a takeaway, you can download this report, and it's going to include most of the data and research that we're going to see while we're scrolling through. So show full chart in the top left, we can click on show full chart to expand this chart. And this is showing us how Coca-Cola is trading for the day. So you're able to see the price chart for Coca-Cola. So currently it's showing us 1 day, and frequency is minute by minute. You can customize this chart by clicking on a different date range and different frequency. This is also a great area where one can access historical stock prices. That's a question we get asked frequently, if we have historical stock prices available, and you can access them through this chart. If we wanted to click on max, it'll take us back to 1993. Scrolling through You're able to see the stock price on a monthly basis. If you wanted to export this data, you can change the frequency to daily, weekly, or monthly. And then this square with the arrow pointing to the top right allows you to export the data into an Excel file. You're also able to add in a comparison. So if you wanted to add in one of Coca-Cola's competitors, you could add that information here. And there's also other data like events and indicators where you can see when there were like dividend splits and earnings releases for the stock that you could add into your chart to customize it. As we continue to scroll through, like we get to the Morningstar analysis section, you'll notice a little lowercase I with a circle around it. I like to call this the information button. If we click on this, it's going to provide information on, in this particular instance for Morningstar analysis, it provides an overview of the Morningstar rating for stocks. A lot of times it provides it written, and then there's many times a video that one can watch as well. So show me how the rating is derived. You can learn more about how we derive this rating. In addition, below, there's other links we could click to with proprietary data points, Morningstar's fair value estimate, a company's economic moat, capital allocation, 5-star price or formerly consider buy, 1-star price, formerly consider sell. So you can definitely access information on these data points when you see the little info button. So over here for the Morningstar analysis, on the left-hand side, you're able to see like the last close price, the fair value, 1-star price, 5-star price, the company's economic moat, a narrow economic moat, which means it has a narrow competitive advantage in the long term against its peers. Sometimes if a company doesn't have a moat rating, it just means that it doesn't have a competitive advantage. So it could have a wide economic moat, narrow, or none. Read full analysis. So our analysts are taking a deep dive into like the business strategy and outlook of the company's economic moat, fair value and profit drivers, risk and uncertainty, and capital allocation. We could close the full analysis and click on View Report Archive if we'd like to see what we've previously written about the company. Sometimes it takes a minute to load. I need to be patient. So you could kind of previously see what's been published about the company. If we scroll back up to the analysis section, we were currently looking at the summary. If we click on competitors, this will provide a side-by-side view of Coca-Cola and 3 of its main competitors. And you could scroll over to the side to see the last one. And then if we wanted to, from this page, we can click on Show Full Comparison Chart in the far left, and this will pop up the price chart that we looked at the beginning for Coca-Cola, but it now includes the data on the 3 main competitors as well. So if you wanted, you could customize this chart again by date range and frequency. And again, you're able to export the data from here into an Excel file. Continuing on, the price versus fair value chart, which showcases going back 10 years. Again, you can learn more about this chart and how you can use it when reviewing the investment by clicking on the information button. Sustainability. Morningstar's initiative over the last 5 to 6 years has been to offer investors research so they can make better sustainable investment choices. So we're looking at a company's environmental social governance. So about 5 or 6 years ago, we partnered with a company called Sustainalytics and created this GLOBE rating or ESG risk rating assessment score for mutual funds. And we ended up launching sustainability scores for individual companies last August of 2021. So it seems to be very a lot of investors are really looking to make more sustainable investment choices. So these ratings can help them narrow down their choices as they pertain to sustainability. Trailing returns takes a look at the company against its industry and index going back 10 years, I believe. 15 years over here, I apologize. And you're able to view the trailing returns on a daily, monthly, or quarterly basis. Key statistics information. This is where you're able to see like the valuation, financial health, profitability, growth, operating and efficiency numbers, financial health, and cash flow of the company. Financial statements, again, if you wanted to download the income statement, balance sheet, or cash flow, you're able to do that on an annual or quarterly basis. Currently, we're on the income statement, and you're able to see a summary of like the past 3 years. If we scroll down a little bit further, we can click on Expand Detail View, and this will populate with data going back 10 years. And again, there's an option here to export the data. So if you wanted to export the income statement, you're able to export this data. Evaluation of the company, operating performance, when there were dividends and splits for the stock, ownership data, where one can see who the major shareholders are, concentrated shareholders, shareholders buying and selling. So again, a wealth of data and information available for an individual company. Below that, you're able to access the key executive information. If we click on a key executive's name, you're able to see their total. We don't have the data yet available for Coca-Cola. If we had the data available from the company, we'd be able to see the salary information, bonus, et cetera. But we do have the biography of the executive available here. And then at the bottom, we have the company profile, which is going to provide like a business description of the company, contact details. The contact details are typically for the investor relations department, sector, industry, and number of employees. It's going to a lot of data and research for an individual company. If we were to click on portfolios, that's the next tab under equity. This is where we have portfolio pick lists. Some of these are based on some of the portfolios that we have within our newsletters, the stock investor newsletter. So they're portfolio pick lists for different types of portfolios. You could click the drop down to see like large cap US, mid cap pick list, a couple Canadian pick lists as well. And then you can download the particular information by clicking on download for the individual portfolios. Rating and performance. This is a quick way for one to narrow down their stock research by using 3 of Morningstar's proprietary ratings: the Morningstar Star Rating, the Economic Moat Rating, and the Uncertainty Rating. So if you wanted to, let's say, get a list of 5-star rated stocks that have a wide economic moat and a medium or low uncertainty rating, you end up having like 6 results that come up from this particular, filter that you created. And from here, you could click on one of these companies and you'll go to I think it takes you back to the research. Yes, the research. Sometimes it downloads the PDF. So you go back to the research report for that. And then Screener is a more advanced screening tool that allows you to screen for different types of stock investments by inputting a number of different data, whether it's like proprietary data points, industry, or like performance metrics. You're able to create and narrow down your screen. The other thing you can do with this stock screener, let's say you wanted to get a quick side-by-side view of like a few companies, you could just go into the search box within the screener and type in, like, let's say you want to look at Apple and Microsoft. I have that down here. You could type in the ticker symbols for those 2 companies and then scroll to the bottom and see like Apple and Microsoft. So you can just kind of get a quick view of, data like their Morningstar rating, economic moat, fair value uncertainty. Then you could switch by looking at the overview, the growth, market, profitability, and valuation. So you can get a quick view of the different companies this way. If you had like a watch list, let's say. Over here within the stock screener, there's an option to download an IDR report. That's an investment detail report. So this is a 1-page report that you can download as a takeaway. It has performance metrics going back like 10 years, and it's a quick like snapshot view of the company. So this is where you can access the one-page report. It says 3 pages because there's 2 pages of disclosure that go along with it. But the actual report is 1 page. And then the analyst report is going to be the lengthier report that you could access from the individual stock pages as well. It's going to include all the analyst research and all the data that we looked at when we looked at the page for Coca-Cola. So it's a lengthier report. So I'm going to reset my filters. So again, like this, and here's the lengthier report. So I'm going to reset my filters and scroll back up to the top. And over here, like I mentioned, you could use this tool for something as simple as pulling in companies within a particular sector and industry, or obviously get more in depth by narrowing down your results by performance metrics and Morningstar's proprietary measures. So we'll click on Show More to expand our filtering options. So if we wanted to select a sector, in order to select an industry, you first need to select a sector. So if we wanted to look at, let's say, like healthcare, and then for industry, you can select multiple industries, but you have to select them one at a time. So if we wanted to look at like drug manufacturers, general, and then let's say drug manufacturers, specialty and generic, you're able to select like an exchange or a business country. So if we only wanted to look at like US companies, we could look at United States. And then scroll down, and then like I mentioned, you could select from a number of different performance metrics to narrow down your results, or some of Morningstar's proprietary measures if you'd like. Morningstar rating, economic moat, ESG risk rating. So if we wanted to look at companies that are like 4 stars or more, that have like a narrow or wide economic moat. Can do that, and then we could scroll to the bottom to see our results. And based on the screen that we created, there's only 2 companies that pass the screen with all the criteria that we requested. And then from here, again, you could click to download the 1-page IDR report, investment detail report, or the lengthier analyst report. I will mention that if a company does not have in-depth analyst research, the analyst report button will not allow you to click on it. It'll kind of be grayed out, so you're not able to click to download. For mutual funds, similar to stocks, if there's a fund you wanted to review, you can go straight to the search box, type in the name or ticker symbol to pull up the page for that fund. Under the funds tab, we have a lot of data and research available in the individual tabs. So the overview page is going to pull in some of the latest fund analyst reports. It gives you a quick view of the market, additional analyst insights, and then like a quick view of different medalist ratings. So within different categories. So you can click refresh and it'll change the category. But this is also something that you can pull up a list of if you were interested in like gold rated mutual funds within a particular category. You can narrow down those results in the fund screening tool. And then at the bottom of this page, we have fund category returns. So you can click here to get a list of fund category returns. So under the funds tab, under mutual funds, this is where you're going to get a full list of mutual funds that have in-depth research. So if we wanted to click on a fund here, JP Morgan Emerging Markets, we can click on that fund and go to the research page for the fund. Similar to stocks, a wealth of data and information. In the top, you have the option of downloading a 1-page report, the fund report that's going to include all the research and information as we scroll through. So it's a lengthier report. If we do have a sustainability rating for the fund and a carbon metric score, these reports will be populated with more in-depth information on the sustainability rating for the fund, as well as like the carbon metric report. So you can see the carbon designation for the particular mutual fund. But scrolling through, we can take a look at, for mutual funds, we have two ratings. We have the star rating, which is looking at past performance. And then we also have the analyst rating or medalist rating, which is a forward-looking projection based on three key pillars: process, people, and parent. So that way you can get a better overall picture of kind of how the fund has performed and how we see it performing in the future. Again, if you see the information button, you could click on it to learn more about the Morningstar analysis and how we derive the ratings. So at the very top, we have a summary of kind of what's currently happening with the mutual fund. As we scroll through, our analysts look at these three pillars: process, people, and parent. And then our analysts also look at like the performance of the mutual fund, as well as the price and fees associated with owning the mutual fund. Again, to see what we've previously written about the mutual fund, you could click on View Report Archive to get the archived analysis. Below, we have the performance chart where you can see how the fund is performing against its category and index with data going back 10 years. And from here, you're able to click on Show Interactive Chart, and you could customize this chart. Similar to the price chart for a stock, you can customize it by date range and frequency, as well as add in a comparison fund to compare it to, and other like events and indicators and information. Similar to the one for stocks, you could click on the square with the arrow pointing to the top right to export the data and information. Continuing on, we have the trailing returns that one can view on a day, month, or quarter end, our sustainability rating and carbon metrics for the mutual fund, risk information with owning the fund. So a number of risk and return information, risk and volatility measures. Again, when you're reviewing a fund and you're on the research page, you could click on the info button to learn more about their particular rating and section. The price and fees associated with owning the fund, portfolio, a breakdown of the mutual fund's portfolio by asset allocation, stock style, and more. And then you're also able to view the portfolio holdings. So it's letting you know the current portfolio date, number of equity holdings, bond holdings, other holdings, etc. And then you're able to see the various holdings. There's shows you 10 at a time, so then you can click through to the next page to see the next 10. People, this is where you can see the fund management team. If you click on a fund manager's name, you're able to see their bio information, how many years they've been in this particular strategy, industry experience, investments under management, and other mutual funds they currently manage. And then at the very bottom, we have parent information. So this is where you're able to get a snapshot and overview of the parent company as a whole. So for JP Morgan, we can see like total net assets, investment flows, asset growth, total number of investments that they have in their portfolio, et cetera. So you can get a quick snapshot view of how the overall company is performing. Target date series. We've always had individual reports for individual target date funds. We also now have available target date series reports. So if there's a fund company that has a target date list of funds, we're now providing an overview report for the entire suite of target date funds within that company. So if we were interested in BlackRock LifePath Dynamic Series, we could click on this report to get an overview for the target date funds that BlackRock has to offer. 529 college savings. We have every October, we publish an annual study on the best 529 college savings plans. And that study would come up in like articles and videos. So during that time, we have articles and videos dedicated to the best 529 college savings plans. With this tab that we've added, you can get PDF reports for the individual 529 college savings plans. So let's say like we're in Illinois, if we wanted to look at the one for Illinois, the Bright Start, if I remember correctly. Let's see. Illinois Bright Start, direct sold or advisor guided. You have the option. You can download the PDF here to see the individual report for the particular 529 plan. And then within this tab as well, in the top right, we have a college savings landscape report. This is something that is published every May, and it's just a deeper dive into the overall landscape of 529 college savings plans. So if you're, saving for a child, grandchild, niece, nephew, your own child, we definitely have a lot of resources associated with, learning about 529 college savings plans. Sustainability, we have a sub-tab here on sustainability just to showcase our research as it pertains to sustainable investing. We have an article track that you can access under articles and videos as well. Sustainability Matters. That's just pulling in more recent articles and videos as they pertain to sustainability, and then more in-depth research reports that we're publishing on sustainability. So Sustainable Funds U.S. Landscape Report, Canadian fund fee trends and cost of advice in Canada. So a lot of more in-depth research on our sustainability. The fund screener, again, similar to stocks, you're able to screen for funds based on the criteria that you input into the tool. If you had a list, like a watch list of funds that you liked to follow, you can type in the ticker symbols and scroll to the bottom to get the data for those funds. And then you could change the view from overview to research, performance, portfolio. You do have the option here, again, of downloading the investment detail report, the one-page report, or the lengthier fund report that's going to include the analysis, et cetera. With this fund screener, in the fund screener, you're able to do a fund comparison. So let's say you wanted to get a more in-depth, like side-by-side view of these funds. If we click on the circle next to name, it's going to select all three of these funds. If we just want to compare two, we can just select the two that we wanted to compare. And then we can click on the suitcase with the magnifying glass, and it's going to do a side-by-side investment compare of these two funds. And I think we're able to have a maximum of 5 funds that you can get a side-by-side comparison of. And if we were to click on the top right, generate report, it would generate a PDF of this data and information for us. And the other thing that you're able to do in the fund screening tool is if you wanted to export the data, instead of clicking on the suitcase, this square with the arrow pointing to the top right allows you to export the data for your results. So I'm going to go ahead and reset my filters. And again, similar to stocks, you could use it for something as simple as looking up mutual funds for a particular fund family. So if you wanted to get a list of Fidelity funds, you could type in Fidelity or select it from the drop down and get a list of Fidelity funds. Wonder if, sorry, Fidelity Investments. I'm not sure what the difference is between the two. So there we go. So if we select Fidelity Investments, we have over like 1,200 funds to select from. And then from here, if you want, you could add in some of Morningstar's proprietary details. If you wanted to look at companies that have like 4 stars or more with an analyst rating of, silver or gold. We can do that. Again, like Morningstar category. You have the option for selecting a particular share class, and a lot of other performance metrics that you can select from. But based on the screen we created, we have 96 results. And again, from here, you can select up to 5 to do a quick comparison of. You can download the individual investment detail report or the fund report for the funds that you're interested in, or just change the settings so you can see the data on the different funds. Under funds, there's one other tool I want to show you, the Find Similar tool. This is a tool that you can use if the investment you're interested in is close to new investment, or maybe the fees are too high. You can use this tool to find similar funds within the same category. So if we were to type in, I always use this Davis New York Venture. And once you select this, then you have the option to filter further, like only show lower risk funds, only show better performing funds over 3 years, only show higher Morningstar analyst rated funds, and only show higher star rated funds. So we select that, and now it's narrowed down the choices to 451 funds. If you wanted to get a short list up at the top, it'll have your target fund that you included. And then from this list of results, you can select up to like 5 more funds or 4 more funds. So you can have up to 5 funds appear to get the short list. And then you could change the view from overview to short-term performance, long-term performance, fees, portfolio, and risk. So you get a quick comparison of these funds by using the Find Similar tool. For ETF, similar to stocks and funds, we have a wealth of data and information on exchange traded funds. So an exchange traded fund is a mutual fund that trades on the exchange throughout the day like a stock. Again, like the overview page is pulling in some of our latest analyst reports on ETFs, market commentary, et cetera, on ETFs. The markets is going to show similar data and information as the markets tab under equity, with a quick view of the market barometer, market index information. Research, just highlighting more of our ETF research. Favorites provides a list of 35 analyst picks for ETFs. And from here, we could click on an ETF and be taken to the research page for the ETF. And you'll notice, similar to stocks and funds, the data and research that's available is very in-depth for individual ETFs as well, with Morningstar analysis, performance metrics, trailing returns, sustainability, risk and information, price and fees associated, portfolio information, etc. And then the screener for ETFs, similar to the stock and fund screener, you can screen based on the different criteria you input into the tool, anywhere from Morningstar category to like an asset class, down to inputting proprietary data points and a number of performance metrics. For planning and education, this is where we offer our self-study courses in the investing classroom. We can click on Learn More so that you can see the different modules that are available to you. I think we have 9 modules. So we added a module on ETFs, retirement, and planning last year, which has been, I think, very helpful and useful. So stocks, funds, portfolios, bonds, ETFs, retirement, and planning. So if we were to click on planning, let's say, this is great for, younger investors or people who don't have much knowledge, but for financial literacy perspective, talks about building a budget, credit cards, like I think like choosing a credit card, fixing credit challenges, managing your debt, etc. These are all level 100 courses. Most courses go from level 100 to 500. As you progress through the levels, the concepts become more complex. And at the end of each of the courses, there's a quiz that you can take to test your knowledge. If you feel overwhelmed by all the courses that are available, you can click on Get Recommendations. And here select a couple of financial topics that are of interest to you. So if you want to learn more about stock investing, and let's say planning in general, you're now able to select the level of knowledge that you have for each of the topics. So if you're a beginner for both of these, we can select beginner, click on Get Recommendations, and it'll provide a list of courses to help get you started. Under planning and education, we also have our portfolio X-ray tool. So this is a great tool for you to get a quantitative and qualitative view of your portfolio by asset allocation, stock sector, and more. It's a tool that you can use, for current portfolios that you have, just to view the information. You can also use it if you're thinking of making changes to your portfolio to see how those changes would affect it. Or even if you're new to investing, let's say you're starting out at a new job and have access to a 401k, you want to see how selecting your investments, depending on the investment choices you make and how you allocate them in your portfolio, what your portfolio would look like. So to get started on Portfolio X-ray, you first need to select View Holdings in Benchmark. This is where you're going to be able to input your holding information. And then we also have to select a benchmark to get started. So they're all Morningstar indexes. We're going to pull up the Morningstar US. Hold on. US market index. It's most similar to the S&P 500. And then once we select a benchmark, we're able to select a dollar amount for each of our holdings, a percentage weight, or number of units. For demonstration purposes, we're going to use a weight. If you did have your portfolio statement in front of you, this is where you could input all the information from your portfolio. And we're going to start selecting some securities. Okay. And then we want to put in a percentage weight for each of these holdings in our portfolio. And then at the top, it's letting us know the total so that we hit 100%. So once we hit 100% with our allocation, we can go ahead and click on Hide Holdings in Benchmark so we can expand our results. And here you're able to see like your asset allocation. So you can see how much of your assets are like in US stocks, non-US stocks, bonds, cash, or other. Stock sectors, this is where you're able to see how your percentage weight in your portfolio is against the benchmark. So let's say like for basic materials, we're underweighted in basic materials in relation to our benchmark. And financial services, we're overweighted in relation to our benchmark. Then in the far right as well, you're able to select a section, it'll jump to that particular section. So if we click on portfolio holdings, it's going to show us the holdings that we input into our portfolio. And then we could click on this next tab next to top holdings, stock overlap. And this is going to show us where we have overlap in our portfolio. So you can look at this and let's say for Apple, we own shares of Apple in this portfolio, but a couple of the funds that we invest in also have assets in Apple. So we might have more exposure to Apple than we thought we did. Microsoft Core, again, 3 of the funds that we invest in have assets in Microsoft. So again, we might have more exposure to a particular company than we thought we did. So this stock overlap is showing you the underlying stock holdings within your portfolio. If we wanted to have a takeaway for our portfolio, you're not able to save the portfolio within the tool, within the database, but you can generate a report. So you get a PDF report. If we were to select all, it would include disclosure that comes with the portfolio too. But we include the snapshot, stock intersection, and investment detail. We can click generate. It'll show us the overview of our portfolio. Then it'll show us the stock intersection, which is the stock overlap. And then the investment detail for the holdings that we input into the portfolio, it'll have the 1-page report for each of those holdings. So this is something you can download and save and have for future reference. Articles and videos, like I mentioned, it's a live database, so we're publishing new content on a daily basis. You're able to sort the articles by collection or by author. So if you were more interested in like market commentary, you could click on market update or, you know, a stock analyst update. If you're interested in more like planning and retirement, a little bit more on the educational side, we do have a director of personal finance at Morningstar. Her name is Christine Benz, and she publishes a wealth of articles on planning and retirement. So you can select Christine's name from the list to get a list of articles and videos that she's published. So, you know, how to build a portfolio you don't have to babysit. She also does a lot of like special reports throughout the year. So we might have like different spotlights for the week or topic weeks. So in January, we always have like a portfolio tune-up week. Where throughout the week, she's publishing articles and videos about getting your portfolio in shape for the year. In February, we also always have like a tax planning and IRA guide. So you get your taxes and information in order for tax planning. In March, women in investing. So through that time, a lot of articles and videos are getting published. And most of them are from Christine Benz on those topic weeks and spotlight weeks and articles. Help, we looked at the newsletter tabs. I believe the Wheaton Public Library does have the newsletter module. This is an add-on feature, and it includes 4 or more of Morningstar's monthly newsletters: stock investor, dividend investor, ETF investor, and fund investor. Again, these newsletters are published monthly. The nice thing about having them through the database is that you have a 12-month archive in PDF format, so you can download the PDF and save that to your computer or print it if you'd like. So just it's more of, you know, Morningstar's thought leadership is available. In Stock Investor, we have 2 portfolios, model portfolios, the tortoise portfolio and the hare portfolio. Again, going along with Morningstar's investing philosophy. In ETF Investor, we have a number of different model portfolios. I think there's 6 of them available in there. Fund Investor just highlights, we have a list of 500 mutual funds that we think should be on everyone's radar. So it provides data on those funds and then showcases and highlights some of those funds on a monthly basis. So a lot more thought leadership and research is available through our newsletters. I do know there's a lot of content and information that we covered in a very short period of time. If there are ever any questions, you are able to either, you know, go to your librarian at Wheaton Public Library to ask them for assistance, but you're also able to contact us directly. And the best way to do that is at the bottom of the page, we do have contact us information. The quickest and easiest way is to reach out to us via email at libraryservices@morningstar.com. That's not something that we monitor over the weekend, but on weekdays, it's a regularly monitored inbox, and we typically get back to you within 1 business day.